Welcome to ShaheenSarani.com, limited portion. We're going to work on building the perfect limited deck in the draft portion of the tournament. Drafting is the best. Do a new deck every time, immersed in the commons and uncommons you would never play in a constructed format, ability to play with interactions that R&D spent so much time preparing that you just normally wouldn't get to use and play with. And draft is a lot more skill intensive and you have a lot more control than in sealed and other less unpopular limited formats. So we're going to work on drafting today. And there's 6 steps to make the perfect draft deck, 6 steps in order to delve into the best possible pool of cards, because really R&D is great, Wizards does a great job, but there are certain colors that are always stronger than others in every format, and you want to be able to decipher, figure out which one it is, and then plunge into that format or plunge into that color set. So let's look at the different color systems that we're going to bring into right now. We're going to look at drafting the one that has the highest depth of common power. So, number 1. How many commons are awesome in each color? You break it down. You look at a format, you write them down. You have 9 white ones, for example, 8 red, 6 blue, 5 green, and like 2 or 3 black. You write all those down, and you figure out which color scheme, which color has the highest common depth, and you want to go into that color. The reason being, of course, there's more commons than uncommons and rares. You're more likely to get multiple copies, or at least a copy of these cards. So even if you don't open that Bomb Gravetide, or you don't open that Sphinx of Jara, or whatever rare that you're really looking for, you'll be able to at least have the common backup to have a powerful limited deck to remove the variance. So common depth is one of the biggest things for me. It's probably the second most important step in building a proper limited deck and to be successful in draft. So that's what I do, and we have Oath of Gatewatch out right now. So you look at that list, you decipher which color has the most commons, and you go with that color if possible. Never force anything, but you really have to keep your eyes open. And then we're going to get into that with signaling, but if red is number 2 and white's number 1 and black's number 3, and you see a black card early on, another powerful black card early on, you know you're in good shape. Where, let's say green's the weakest, you want to kind of shy away from that even if the color's slightly open. So we're going to get to that when we get to signaling. Second thing, archetype strength. Some archetypes are just better than others. You have the classic flyer archetype, blue-white flyers. You have the classic big green ramp where you play your green guys early on, tap for mana, play bigger guys. So you have the archetypes that kind of live through every format. But every new limited format has a different archetype that jumps in there as well. The last format we had like blue-red devoid, where you have infect before that. You can go into any format and see a different archetype that exists that's kind of unique to that format, and you want to give them a power ranking. You want to look and find out which archetype is better suited to your playstyle. You want to see what archetype has more brute strength. You want to see which archetype can give you the best chance to win. So you rank the archetypes and you figure out which one you want to be in. So if you're not really big on the green ground pounding type, then you want to stay away from that one if possible. Of course, if you're the only green player within 3 seats, I don't care if it's the weakest of the archetypes or has a low common pool. If you're the only one, you're going to reap the benefits of that. But if you're competing for a mediocre archetype and a mediocre common depth pool of cards, you want to shy away from that and move on. The third thing is undrafted strategies. You want to see what strategies are not being drafted by your local game store. What if you draft with the same 10, 11 guys and you want to win? You got to see what they always do. If Tommy over here always drafts blue and Jimmy always drafts green, and one's more aggressive and one's less aggressive, you want to kind of just sit in the middle and then take the ones that's more available. You also want to see, let's say if you're at a Pro Tour or a Grand Prix or a PTQ or PPTQ, you also want to just see the players around you, determine what exactly what strategies are not drafted heavily. Let's say we're in a format of Time Spiral and slivers were relatively heavily drafted. You want to stay away from that. You want to draft a different type of archetype that is not exactly taken advantage of by players around you. So look for the undrafted strategy. So the first thing is common availability. Second is archetype strength. Third is undrafted strategies. And you just weigh those and you figure out which way you want to go based on the amount of availability of commons, archetype strength, and then undrafted strategies. The fourth thing, the most important thing about building a proper limited deck, the best limited deck, is signal following. And you guys have heard about signals since you started Magic. But some of you guys are new into the limited world, and you qualified for your first Pro Tour. You're about to go to your first limited Grand Prix. You don't really know about signaling, and that's okay. Signaling is a lot easier than it sounds. You hear the pros rant on about how difficult it is and how skill intensive it is to determine signals. It really isn't that bad. Let's go through a few examples. If you get past an Ob Nixilis, pack 1, pick 2, you can safely say that he's not drafting black or she's not drafting black. If you get past an Ob Nixilis, pick 2, pack 2, that means they took something for their own deck. They're not going to hate draft a black card if they're blue and white. So that doesn't mean the color is extremely open. It just means that the player right there is not drafting it. Here's where signaling comes in. Pick 4, pick 5, pick 6. You get strong blue card, strong blue card, strong blue card. You know that color, table-wise, is very open, and you should dive right into that, especially pack 1. So the later cards you see is where the signaling actually takes place. Signaling is not pick 2, pick 3. Signaling is pick 5, 6, 7 when you see that Azure Mage still in the pack. You're like, oh man, blue is open. So you really want to look at the later picks for signaling. That goes with pack 1, that goes with pack 2. But since you get past pack 1 and 3 from the same direction, that's where you really want to look for signaling. Pack 2 is only happening once. Okay? Pack 1 and 3 are going to be from the same direction, so you really want to look for signals in the first pack. So that's when you keep your eyes open. You're like, oh, there's that passivism, pick 5. White is open. Time to get into white. I don't care if you have red and black cards at that point. Signaling is so important that if you try to force a color, if you try to, I took this rare and I want to play all the colors within this rare. I took an Olivia Voldrin. I'm black-red. You might end up with a 17-card deck with an Olivia Voldrin that you may never draw. Draft decks are not built by rares. They're built by consistent, powerful commons and uncommons, so you want to follow the signals in order to have draft success. The fifth thing, safe than sorry. This is my mantra, and this will be different from any pro probably that you'll read. I'm a 2-color guy. Sure, Ravnica and other decks that have a tricolor theme and shards, you want to be 3-color, but I don't like to splash. When you play in a 15-round Grand Prix, okay, or let's say a 9-round Grand Prix because you have one sealed deck, and you want to play a 3rd color, it's dangerous because the mana will get you. If you need a 3-0 your pod and you have a solid blue-white deck with the 2 red rares and you got 1 fixer, I'm not about that life. I want 2-color consistent power. I want 2-color powerful commons and uncommons with a rare, hopefully, but I'm not going to butcher my deck, add 2 swamps in there, some ramp spells, and throw an Nixilis in there. You just can't do that if you want success. Some people love that. Some people would rather take raw power over consistency. I'm a consistency kind of guy. Forcing colors is another thing you got to stay away from. That's in the safe than sorry. That's number 5. Safe than sorry. Do not force things. Look for those signals. Look for common availability. Know your archetype you're drafting. And then again, look at the historical by reading people's articles, Undrafted Strategies, and look for those colors as well. The last thing, rare power and card power. You're going to open those bomb rares. You're going to want to slam those rares in your deck. And that's great. Rares are great. But the common availability and the uncommons you're looking for are going to yield more wins over time than that rare that you slammed and then force the colors behind. So look for those before you go right into a rare color and just go, force that color. So these 6 steps will help you draft the perfect deck. And if you draft the perfect deck, it'll give you the best chance to win. It's not like standard where you get to bring the best possible 60-card main deck, 15-card sideboard. Everybody starts fresh. When you're drafting that deck, you're at the whims of the packs. And if you know the common depth, and you know which archetypes are stronger, and you know whether the underdrafted strategies, you know how to follow signals, your advantage is not 50-50 against your opponent. It gets to 60, 70, 80, 90, and that's when you have the highest yield win percentage is from knowing these steps. So follow these steps, draft the perfect deck, look for the sealed video coming soon, and I'll help you out with the sealed so you can get to the draft portion and those day 2s of the Grand Prix. Thanks for watching.